All right. So I've been sitting on this information for a few days because I'm in shock that the leadership of the Marine Corps will be making such a horrible decision. Two of our MARSOC3, Gunnery Sergeant Danny Dreyer and Gunnery Sergeant Josh Negron, were found not guilty of all these allegations that were being held over their head for about 4.5 years. Initially, there was rumors of murder. Then it turned out to be manslaughter, obstruction of justice. All of this, went through, and they refused to take a plea bargain the entire way because they said we would have to acknowledge having done something wrong. We would have to lie to get a better deal, and they refused to do that. So they took it all the way to a general court-martial in which they were found not guilty of absolutely everything. It was found that they acted absolutely correctly. They used the appropriate amount of minimal force in self-defense to reduce any escalation, and the jury found, or the panel as it's called in a court-martial, that they were not guilty. Except for one allegation, that they actually had some drinks on New Year's in theater in Erbil, Iraq, to which they admitted to. They didn't even try and conceal it. They had a couple of drinks. But let's just be clear. First of all, now this is a violation of what's called General Order 1. And General Order 1 is put out there so that we don't offend the sensibilities of host nations, Muslim countries, where alcohol may not be permitted. But in Erbil, Iraq, just so we're clear, this was an extremely permissive environment. As a matter of fact, they have bars, public bars that the locals go to, as well as the military personnel. There's drinking on and off base. The commands know about this. As a matter of fact, a week before New Year's, they didn't even say, hey, no alcohol. They just said, tighten it up, like not too much. Let's make sure we don't go overboard. So in this permissive environment where they did have some drinks, they admitted to it and were found guilty. And because they were found guilty of this offense, what ends up happening is, at a general court-martial, this is now a felony conviction. A felony conviction for drinking. Now, the jury said, well, we're not going to recommend any punishment because that's ridiculous. Like this, at best, would be an administrative matter and should be. So the whole thing went back to the convening authority, General Trollinger, and General Trollinger could have very easily said, all right, let's throw this out. This is ridiculous. We never should have brought a drinking charge up to a general court-martial, but that's not what he did. He actually doubled and tripled down. He's like, well, we're going to hold that felony conviction, which, to be clear, these guys, these special operators, these guys, they're critical skills operators, they're raiders. Like, their profession is a profession of arms, so their livelihood is actually, in line with going on to do security work, to do training, to do actual combat training. So this is their livelihood. Now, with a felony conviction, they're not allowed to own firearms. So, and again, felony conviction for drinking, okay? Not getting drunk, for drinking, all right? So these guys now, this whole thing could have been thrown out, but instead General Trollinger's like, no, we're going to double down. We're going to put them out of the Marine Corps. We're going to reduce them in rank from gunnery sergeant down to staff sergeant, and we're going to give them an other than honorable discharge. But just let's make sure that we punish them for standing and doing the right thing. We're going to take away their critical skills operator, their Raider MOS, their specialty, and their badge. Like, that's just absolutely vindictive. It's horrible. It's not in keeping with the integrity of our Marine Corps. But certainly it's virtue signaling, and it would definitely send the right message that, oh, General Trollinger, I don't support drinking, which certainly will be in line with the proposed new commandant, who also is not in support of an organization that was founded in a bar drinking. So, that being said, these warriors, and to be clear, these two Marines, gunnery sergeants with over 20 years, multiple Valor Awards, Purple Heart, have actually served Iraq, Afghanistan, and in support of inherent resolve, wiping out the Islamists, ISIS. These guys now, they're going to take their Raider badge away because they had a couple of drinks. Let's just be clear, and I'm sure many of you here who are watching this, you've been to the Tally Bar in Iraq. You know the CIA runs bars. You know that you've been there if you're a special operator. Many Marines have been there. Many Marines have had drinks. Many special operators have had drinks. Could you imagine being held accountable with a felony conviction? This is absolutely insane. You need to get a hold of your congressman. They need to put pressure on General Trollinger. And just to be clear, 28 congressmen actually reached out to General Trollinger ahead of time and said this whole thing needs to be dismissed. It doesn't make sense. And General Trollinger basically thumbed his nose at 28 congressmen and said, no, we're going to destroy these guys' lives. Why? I don't know why. It doesn't make sense. So that's the latest, the greatest. It's horrible. We're still waiting to hear what's going to happen with Chief Gilman. Chief Gilman's case is still up with the Armed Forces Appeals, the Court of Appeals for the Armed Forces, CAF, to see whether or not they're going to come down and support this unlawful command influence that was put into his case, where basically a senior colonel told his defense, like, hey, you better not defend this guy too strongly because it will destroy your career. I mean, this whole thing reeks, and hopefully his case is going to be thrown out completely. But that being said, United American Patriots, we will continue to support these three, MARSOC3. We're going to make sure they have the legal funds or the funds to provide the legal defense and to continue to fight this. We will be appealing this. We will be elevating this. We'll be pushing for a presidential pardon for this because it's absolutely, it's insane. And we will do whatever we can to support these warriors because these are the type of warriors that we want in our armed forces. These are the ones we want to attract. And I can't say enough about the integrity of these warriors. So I appreciate everybody. We've had tremendous donations from across the board. I really appreciate it. Let's keep it going, and let's make sure that we see these guys walk the way they should without any hindrances, without anything holding them back, so they can go on and be productive citizens. So thank you, Semper Fi, and God bless.